from Seoul, Korea, and welcome to the StarLeague Season 2. I'm Tasteless. With me is Artosis. How you doing today, man?
I am doing quite well. Thank you for asking, Tasteless. How are you doing on this fine afternoon?
I'm doing good. We have another series of a lot of best of ones. It's been an interesting tournament so far. What about you?
Yeah, it has. You know, it is best of one, so it's kind of fresh, kind of new. Not how we normally do it here in Korea, but change can be exciting, Tasteless, and we've had really different games than what we're used to here.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're used to watching us here at GOMTV.net, you're probably used to the GSL Code S. This tournament, the StarLeague Season 2, is a little bit different. We're doing a best-of-one format for the start, which means these games are super unforgiving.
Yes, they certainly are. But the best players have pretty much gotten out. And some people will point and say, hey, SOS didn't make it. Well, you know what? SOS, he's done very well recently, but he had a hard group, and he didn't really play his best. If he had, maybe he comes out of there.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. So, again, a lot of pressure here. The StarLeague, the oldest StarCraft tournament of all time here, from StarCraft 1, now here in StarCraft 2. So a lot of prestige behind this event. These guys very eager to move on and move up.
That is right. And, you know, that top 16, of course, we hit best of 3 at that point. So if you can get through these early hard rounds, then you really get to show your skill.
Yeah, very true. So just recently we saw these results here. We had Sue and Maru escape Group C, and in Group D, we had Trap and Symbol. Again, the format here a little bit different than a GSL Code S, so we actually do 2 groups in a day since it is a best of 1. So when we finish our first group here, definitely stick around because we're going to go to the next one as well.
Yes, we are, Tasteless. You know, the 2 groups today, E and F, we have, of course, a lot of Zergs. Well, there's a lot of Zergs overall just in this season. You know, for the past few seasons, we've had quite a few Zergs. But very few Terrans. The thing is, the Terrans are making it through. So even though we started with the fewest Terrans we've ever had in a top 32 tournament in Korea, they're basically all just advancing.
Now, Protoss is, on the other hand, having a pretty hard time here so far. This is not the era of Protoss right now.
No,
unfortunately, they have a lot of cool new strats and a lot of cool new ways to play, but so far, the success rate here for Protoss has been pretty low.
It certainly has, but we still have our best Protosses yet to come. Trap did make it through, and to be frank, if you watch Pro League at all, you know that Trap is actually a very good Protoss. He's very strong with sharp builds, and that's what you need to get through these best-of-1 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. So in a little bit here, again, this broadcast is piggybacked, by the way, but in a little bit here, we will be going into that first game. It should be super exciting. Do you have any predictions for today?
Well, I'm kind of torn. I feel like these 2 groups are very hard to predict.
They are tough. Well, at least in our first game, we're going to have KangHo, who's formerly known as Lucira, playing today. And as you can see here, that is right now. He's going to be up against JangBi. Now, this is going to be a cool match because KangHo, when you think of KangHo, excuse me, you think of KangHo, that's who. When you think of players like KangHo, you're thinking StarCraft 2. Yeah. Now, when you think of players like JangBi, you're thinking of StarCraft 1.
You certainly are.
The big question here that I'm asking myself is, can this StarCraft 1 guru, JangBi, one of the best Protosses of all time, actually move on against a player who's this seasoned here in StarCraft 2?
Well, I got to tell you what, Tasteless, I think JangBi has a pretty good chance of getting out. Of course, this group, as I said, very hard to predict.
Yes.
But JangBi's been playing very well, better and better and better. I really like his playing StarCraft 2 at this point. I wasn't a fan right when he switched over, but he's coming into his own as of late, and I wouldn't be overly surprised for him to make it through today.
Yeah, we'll have to see. You know, for JangBi being such a good StarCraft 1 player, it's really exciting to see him now here in StarCraft 2 in his attempt to dominate the scene. And for those of you guys that don't know the history here between StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, when StarCraft 2 came out, not all the StarCraft 1 players switched over. So what that means is that it was about like a year and a few months that StarCraft 1 stayed out after StarCraft 2?
I want to say it might be even a little bit more than that, like a year and a half.
I think you're right. It's hard for me to remember. We've cast
before they really
so much stuff has happened in esports in the past few years, but
time just kind of flows together, doesn't it?
It does. When you look at back at this period of time, there were a bunch of players that said, "No, I think I can make some more money in StarCraft 1. It's still on TV, so I'm going to stick with this game that I know I'm good at before I try to switch over to something new." Eventually, StarCraft 1 was retired as an esport. It's not played on the competitive level really anymore. So after that was retired, all these StarCraft 1 badasses, these legends like Flash, like Jaedong, like JangBi here right now, did switch over to StarCraft 2. And, in the next year here, we're going to find out how many of these guys actually continue to be or how many of them will continue on their dominance in this new game. StarCraft 2 is still good old StarCraft, but it's a very different game as well.
We've certainly had some new players rise up that really never found their stride in StarCraft 1. And some of them, of course, switch over much earlier, so we'll see if they can stay up on top players like MVP and MC and even ST. Whereas the players that have switched over recently, we've had some of the Kespa pros that were newer and not as good. People like Rain, people like Trap, start to rise towards the top as well. Now, will they stay there? I think so. These guys are showing a lot of skill, but the old guys, the old legends, like any MVP, one of them that is still going to play hard is going to come to the top as well. People like Jaedong, Flash, Bisu, Stork. These players, they're just too good to be denied.
Now here is our first player, KangHo, again, formerly known as Lucira. Here are some stats on him. These are not based exactly off of game results, but off the opinions of the esports journalists here in Korea.
Yeah.
And as you can see, he ranks pretty high on everything except for popularity. That's interesting because I would say in the foreign scene, KangHo's definitely more popular.
Certainly. Yeah. He's one of the fan favorite Zergs, I would even say, from Korea.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the way it is in Korea. They have a lot of players that they watch in various leagues that aren't as popular in the foreign scene. So
yeah.
That definitely contributes to that. But the numbers overall, I kind of like for this. I can't
really disagree with that, just the popularity. But of course, they asked the Korean esports journalists, so
I would
it's a different scene.
Maybe put his macro up a little bit higher, closer to 80. But I like these numbers.
This is a guy who's actually changed his play style since he started at the pro level. He had a very different early StarCraft 2 play style, switching to what was like mass. He was one of the first guys to go mass queens.
Yeah, a lot of queens.
In the very ending of Wings of Liberty, we saw a heavy, like even 8
queens. Yeah. Off like 3 base. It was awesome.
I almost said that with uncertainty. I'm like, am I making this up in my head? Because I believe, if I remember right, this is the guy who's actually using 8 queens.
Completely right, Tasis.
And of course, here's JangBi, popularity 93. Now, that's definitely correct in the Korean scene. Foreign scene, I would say JangBi actually pretty low in popularity so far, because unless you're a StarCraft 1 junkie, you're not going to know who this guy is.
Yeah, that is true, but I think he's definitely going to rise up to meet expectations. Guys, just to put this into perspective, a lot can be said. Any StarCraft 2 fan at this point knows the legends of Stork, Bisu, Flash, and Jaedong, the top 4 players, but JangBi was top 6.
Exactly.
Him and Fantasy came in right after that top 4.
He's just off the radar enough that unless you really followed StarCraft 1 or did a lot of research in StarCraft 1 heavily, you might be aware of this guy without doing that, but you might not know how huge he was.
He won the last StarLeague in StarCraft 1, which is what we're watching right here. So an unbelievably good player. Like, the other players might have been better than him, but it was by so little that it's hard to it's this guy is top 6 of all time.
Yeah, you made a good point. I'd almost forgotten about that. He was the winner of the last StarCraft 1 StarLeague.
Yes.
We're here now in the StarCraft 2 StarLeague. So
well, we'll see if he can take this one down.
We actually watched that live.
Yeah, we were there.
We
had to watch. We had to salute while Brood War went into its cold, shallow grave.
Yeah. And now it's all StarCraft 2 here.
Yep.
So, it looks like both players have joined the game.
Yeah.
And we should be starting this pretty soon. Again, this broadcast is piggybacked. So, this is not all really the GOMTV production. The camera shots and everything like that are. Casters are. But we don't know exactly how soon they'll start. We're on a little bit of a different rhythm here. But while we have a little bit of this downtime, if you guys could get out there and tell your friends to tune in to us here at GOMTV.net, because a lot of people don't know that you and I are in fact covering the season 2 of the StarLeague.
Yeah, we got to get the word out there, and hopefully people will start to tune in big numbers and show their support. Because yes, we know this is a best of 1 in this first 32 round, but you can learn some different things from it. And I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep saying it. I want to drive that home to people that maybe this is something that people don't necessarily always like as much, but there's a lot to be learned here. There's a lot of tournaments out there that have best of one, and best of one builds are oftentimes better for the ladder, which is what most people actually play.
That's a very good point. You got to keep in mind. Also, we're going to have a big variety of different games here. So if you see, maybe you're not like, let's say, a fan of this matchup we're going into right now, ZVP, for instance, the next matchup's going to be different. So we're going to have a big variety of games here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's actually very quick moving. It feels a lot faster than it actually is.
No, it's weird because this broadcast here, it takes about 4 hours. But when we're done, I feel like it's taken a lot less time.
Yeah, it feels like
the pacing
moves along.
it seems to just feel, have that feeling of just kind of rushing through.
Very fresh.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
This format is kind of like minty wintergreen toothpaste.
Wintergreen toothpaste.
Wintergreen.
I'm actually using green tea toothpaste right now.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty popular.
It's actually not bad.
I'm not using that, though. I like spearmint toothpaste. That's my type.
Oh, really?
Yeah, spearmint makes it just the perfect feeling in my mouth.
You know what it is, actually, I don't like about the minty toothpaste is I used to be a smoker. When I taste the mint, it reminds me of menthol. And I'm like, no, it's weird.
It's actually funny. Mint is a flavor I never like because of toothpaste. So I'm like, I don't eat toothpaste. I don't eat mint. I've recently taken up cooking as a hobby, as you know. And,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I have a recipe for eggs that I use mint in. Yeah. Delicious. Unbelievably good. I can't even believe it.
You got to cook that for me, man.
I will.
So
but you have to come over in the morning, that means.
No. I don't wake up in the morning. But between these two players, who do you think actually wins here?
Okay, this one's pretty hard.
I'm going to say KangHo.
I actually think JangBi's going to play like really, really, really sharp and kill KangHo. The thing is, if KangHo gets to the late game, like if he goes without getting a very sharp attack performed upon him, he's one of the deadliest Zergs in the world. But I feel like there's this little area of time where he can be killed, and I think JangBi's going to know that, and he's going to go for it. And I think that's going to be hard. So I'm gonna give the edge to JangBi here.
All right, cool. I was betting KangHo here.
Yeah.
All right, our first map is going to be Belshir Vestige. The map is now loading. It will be a Protoss versus Zerg here, a best of one. Tell your friends to tune in with Tasteless and Artosis, the casting Archon here at GOMTV.net, covering Season 2 of the StarLeague. And on to our player introductions over here in the bottom right starting location. We have our legendary Zerg from Wings of Liberty here in Heart of the Swarm. He is
Master LGIM KangHo.
His opponent, one of the best Protosses of all time here in StarCraft 1. Now here to prove himself in StarCraft 2. He is
Master Samsung-Khan JangBi.
All right. Of course, it looks like he's going to go for a Gateway Expand, which is what you would expect from JangBi. Like, if you just asked me out any Brood War player that was good enough that I saw some of their games in StarCraft 1, I could tell you what build fits them in StarCraft 2, and this is definitely it for him.
Yeah, no, this is very JangBi-esque.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a one-on-one map. They do know each other's starting locations. And, that means there's a lot of builds that you can do on this map you can't do on a 4-player map, for instance.
Yeah, that's right. Just knowing where your opponent is very powerful. And in fact, you know what? It's going to take a little bit for anything to happen. So I actually want to talk about something having to do with that with you. Because this is something that I oftentimes when I'm streaming, because I stream a lot of ladder on the Korean server, and whenever I get Whirlwind, I get angry and just say this is not as good a map as the other maps because the travel distance to scout all bases in the beginning of the game, you can't guarantee getting into their base.
Yeah, that's a
you
very
You can guarantee it against Zerg, but you can't against Protoss or Terran. So I wanted to know what your thoughts are, because for me personally, like, you give me a 4-player map, I love Star Station right now with the forced cross spawns.
Yeah.
Beautiful map, a lot of fun. Balance is another question altogether, but just it's a good map because I can scout them if I want to. Whereas on Whirlwind, you cannot reasonably guarantee yourself a scout.
No, I totally agree with that.
Okay.
That makes me insane, actually, when I
Like,
some of these four-player maps that are too big, and I'm like, well, I just scouted the wrong way. There's no way that I could know.
Especially when it's PvP and I scout the wrong way and he scouts the right way.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess you're probably going to win.
I'm so penalized for something that's not my fault. You know.
All right, I want to, because I figured you had the same opinion as me, because you're such a smart guy, and my opinions are always right, but no, it's something I felt like bringing up.
He went for a double gas super soon here, by the way. We actually have KangHo making a hatchery at his opponent's expansion.
Pretty cool. Now, you know, it's a good thing that he got the double gas, because if he hadn't, then this would just be annoying, because he'd have to start the double gas now anyways. But we'll see what he does with this. If he finishes, tries to get a queen out. What do you think? Is he going to cancel or is he going to finish this hatch?
I don't know, because I'm not a fan of the strat for Zerg. I feel like it's something you do once to catch them off guard. I don't know if this is something you do against JangBi.
You know what? He might be doing it against JangBi, because this type of strategy was more popular back in the day in StarCraft 2 before JangBi was active.
That's a pretty smart point, actually. Now, I predict he's going to cancel, but no, I was completely wrong, and he's actually going to go for a drone here. Probably trying to make a spine crawler.
And he's not going to make a queen. That's one thing I was wondering if he would give that a try.
I don't know if it would get out quite in time.
Yeah. Well, you know, the reason why you would do something like this is it slows down their expansion so unbelievably much. Like, this is not the build that he had planned at all.
Getting the evolution chamber up here. Really nice. And again, this is denying the fast expand here for the Protoss. I got to say, JangBi has adjusted very well for this. So you gotta wonder right now, is this actually penalizing JangBi, or is KangHo putting himself behind?
Okay, so it's a very good question. And a lot of people might be wondering, why did he throw down the evolution chamber when there's already creep there and it's obviously going to die first? Well, the thing is, he actually was stalling JangBi coming across the map, because JangBi's army actually right now is pretty scary for this part of the game. Yeah. It's something that obviously KangHo is not going to want to have like a ton of slow Zerglings to deal with it, so he was just slowing that down a bit.
Yeah.
Now this scout is absolutely brilliant. Seeing the robo is
catching that perfectly.
Yeah, that's very important. And now he sees the Immortal, so he's so aware of what's going on here, and I would not be surprised if this turns into, like, he's going to get a Warp Prism, I would say, and he's probably going to go up to 3 gates.
You think he could do some Immortal harass here?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Immortal, 2 shots, workers.
And don't forget, the Warp Prism got that big upgrade recently. It's so much faster now.
That's a very good point, too, yeah.
And he's actually going up to 4 gates. It's going to help with his wall in and just give him a little bit more warping power, because probably he'll stop producing out of the robo. Now, we'll see if he actually gets that Warp Prism, but this is just a very powerful early game set of units to have. And in fact, you can see that Lucira has already had to grab a couple spines, and he is mining his gas and getting a bunch of queens, because that's what Lucira does.
Yeah. Looks like the mothership is coming in here. And it looks like he might be doing some pressure in a minute here. Proxy Pylon. This is a weird game that it's hard for, I think, you and I to both call, because we don't see a lot of people make the hatch and let it finish and then see a timing like this.
Yeah. Well, this counter that he's doing to KangHo is actually really weird. I've never seen anyone go into Immortal
quite like this.
Well, he's forcing a lot of spines, which is nice. And don't forget, with that hardened shield, he could get up and maybe snipe a couple buildings or something, but
yeah.
Okay, there we go. Finally, the Warp Prism is on the way. So that's actually where it's going to get very interesting. He could ferry all his units in the main. Those spine crawlers, although they can uproot, not the fastest things to reburrow.
All right. Well, you know, JangBi has definitely adjusted really well. And it looks like now, okay, this is probably the best move here. He's going to go ahead and clean up all the overlords on the map.
Yeah, especially in this area where his Warp Prism's coming. Ooh, that was actually a little bit sloppy.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I can't believe you revealed that.
You can assume that it's coming, but if you don't see it, there's always a question.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can always hide something from them, definitely hide it, unless you're trying to show them something to trick them, which he's not. So he can actually elevator these units up here.
And they got to be careful, because he can force field units in and kill them very easily.
Exactly, and he can even force field the zone units in and keep them covered.
Yeah. So KangHo is turtling like a maniac right now.
That's kind of a weird place to time warp.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I didn't like that,
actually.
Kind of
wasn't the most useful.
That didn't seem very Well prepared.
He's forcing on the ramp, Tasteless. Really nice move. But all the drones are coming out, as they should be. A good try by JangBi. If KangHo hadn't responded perfectly, then that could have been very good.
Well, I like the fact that he's so flexible with this strategy. There's a lot. He could have elevated into the main. He could have. He tried doing the force field in the ramp. Triggered 2 more spines there for KangHo. He's doing a great job. Now,
he's giving him every opportunity to screw up.
Yeah, no,
he just
exactly.
hasn't.
Yeah. It looks like, again, he's going to go ahead and check the third base here and see that, in fact, there is no third base speed made. So, the pressure's on. Right now we have a Zerg that attempt to stifle the Protoss economically. And the Protoss, off the bat, has just completely re-engineered his play style, punished the Zerg, denied the Zerg's third base. JangBi, it looks like he should be in great shape to potentially win this game.
Well, Lucira right now is actually getting Swarm Hosts, and of course getting Enduring Locust for them. Kind of interesting that we're going to see these Stalkers die. That was a little bit sloppy.
A little sloppy here.
And now the Lings can get in? What?
All right, well, we'll see.
Or not, never mind.
It looks like he wasn't going to punish that, but now we have the Warp Prism coming in. Going to go ahead and drop on these drones. Will we have a Warp in as well?
Looks like no, he will not, but he does see that Locust, or rather Swarm Hosts, are on the way, and that's some very important information. Immediately throws up that Robotics Bay. I would love to see him throw up a Senga Robotics, and there you go, Senga Robotics,
boom.
Bam.
Beautiful.
JangBi, I think, is going to be able to take this game, Tasteless. He has a Warp Prism. He's getting Blink, and he's going to have double Robo Colossus.
We got a Nidus Worm on the way over here.
Good choice as well.
This is very interesting. This tells me that KangHo has decided he can't win in the late game. He has to try to end this very soon.
Yeah, he is going to go for that. Now, if JangBi stays super active out here, he could make the Nidus Worm. I'm like, what do you call that tunnel thing underground? The Nidus Worm appear pretty far away, which would be helpful for him. But
to be frank, I don't see this working for KangHo.
I don't think it's going to.
I don't blame him for doing this, but I just don't know how effective this is actually going to be.
Well, this is set of strats. We'll see how it works out. Wow, he's oh my god. This is huge. And now all that JangBi has to do
prepared for has been denied.
JangBi has actually just toyed with KangHo here. Or not, well, I guess not toyed with, but
manhandled.
Manhandled. There you go. Thank you.
All JangBi has to do now is keep making anything Protoss related that can attack, and keep an eye on the impending Nidus Worm that's going to come up here. Yeah. And he should be in great shape. But even a little drop like this here with the Zealots is enough to slow down that attack with the Nidus Worm.
Yeah.
All right, Nidus Worm is spawned now, but it has been spotted as well.
That's right. Well, the thing is, with a double Colossi being produced at the moment, plus 2 weapons on the way, I can't even tell you how much I like this position for JangBi. 2-base Swarm Host is a very all-in build, so if KangHo doesn't get something done right away, which I find very hard to believe, that he can do it. You know.
All right, we have some Locusts coming up here and harassing. And I gotta say, I'm under the impression that KangHo already knows he's probably going to lose this game.
Yeah, and look, right now JangBi actually hitting that third base, keeping him on 2 bases. The only thing I would like even more is if he had the Mothership Core with this army. That would
I gotta agree with that.
That would be the perfect move. But in fact, it looks like he's gonna go home. Or, no, wait, he's just popping in different places. Never mind.
Okay, so we have 2 Spires on the way. Is that a mistake?
Yeah, for sure.
That can't be intentional.
Yeah,
it makes no sense to get 2 Spires.
Yeah. He's just getting the Spires to actually try to get either Mutas or Corruptors. Thing is, once you have 4 to 5 Colossus, you just make nothing but Stalkers and you run them over.
Yeah, no, you said it perfectly. So now he's going to push forward here. He should be. I don't think this game's going to go on for more than 5 more minutes here. I think JangBi actually just comes up here and takes this.
This is being decided right now. Notice he has to run. Well,
all right, continuing to move forward here.
He has a lot of Queens, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Between Force Fields and Guardian Shields, it's going to be hard to actually do any damage here. Look at that, perfectly done.
He can actually zone out these Locusts here.
Yeah. And now he's just going to target that down and gets it. A couple left over. Blinks forward and is going to try to pick them off.
All right, the Swarm host now turning around. We have another Nidus Swarm here. I don't know how effective this is going to be. By the way, JangBi now taking a third base. KangHo here on 2 additional bases here. I don't know how long they're going to last or how much they could function economically. Now we have JangBi moving up here. Beautiful, getting that Nidus Swarm once again.
Yeah, very well done. Picking off so many Swarm hosts all over the place. And the economy of Lucira just can't support anything at this point. He's making a few Corruptors, but as I said, Tasteless, once you get 5 or 6 Colossus, you just put all your gas into those Stalkers, and even if they end up killing all the Colossi, you've killed their entire army already.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing KangHo has done is stalled here, but stalling won't always win you games. In this case, it certainly won't. We now have JangBi's army pushing down southbound here.
The one, I really like the snipe on the Mothership core. That's a really nice one. But the one saving grace is all these Spine Crawlers. This is really going to slow him down a lot more. And in fact, he doesn't have many force fields left, so
no, he doesn't.
This is going to be hard to break through still, but I do give the lead to JangBi without any question.
Well, we don't have the next set of Locusts about to pop out here, and it looks like they're just now coming out, but is this going to be enough in time here? The Colossi just melt through all the Locusts the moment the engagement begins here.
Nice little flank going down, though. They do draw the shots of the Colossi a bit, but here we go. There's very little support left, and now he can just target them down, and as he's die, so do the chances of KangHo winning this game.
Expect GG any second here, as JangBi is now punished severely KangHo by taking out all these Swarm hosts. And this is one of these weird phases of the game you can keep making Stalkers and pretty much win.
Yeah. You see, he's trying desperately to get his spines down, but as long as JangBi beats this area down, the game is his.
Yeah.
And it looks like he should be able to as well, Tasteless.
All right, nice blink micro here. And again, another Warp in is about coming here with these Stalkers. I mean, that's it. I mean, stick a fork in KangHo because he is done right now.
Wow.
And now we got he's still in the game, but he's going to lose that hatchery now.
Well, he's got half the supply. He's still on 2 bases against 3 bases.
There we go. GG.
Yeah. All right. Really, you know what? I really like that game, Tasteless. I really do, because KangHo brought some new kind of fresh play style type ideas against JangBi, right? Like actually letting the hatchery complete, which is kind of old, like we've seen it before, but the way that he followed it up was kind of neat, right? The Mass Queens, going to the Swarm hosts all in. It's powerful, but JangBi had already chosen Robotics Tech, so the Colossi were just a step away. And that JangBi knew what to do at every single moment.
Yeah. No, he really did. You know, when I look at a strategy like that, I got to ask myself, did KangHo really think that he could beat somebody like JangBi in a straight-up game?
You know? I think that he probably thinks he can, but I think that because this is best of one, he came up with a strategy. He's like, you know what? If you're playing one game against me, this is going to give me a really good chance of success. Like, how many people have you ever seen after a hatchery in the natural, a Protoss go 1 base robo? And that 1 base robo screwed up everything for Lucira.
I didn't even know how to call that game when it started out. I'm like, well, he's getting a robo.
Well, it made him.
It made getting that hatchery and putting in his opponent's expansion like a complete waste of time. It was a weird. It was a bad investment. So that was really interesting. Again, it's a best of one, but KangHo's not out of the group yet. He's actually still got a shot, but JangBi is looking primed to actually get out of this.
Yeah, he's looking really fantastic. All his decision making, I loved his movements. Next time I get hatched and it finishes in my natural, without doubt, I'm going to try that robo build. I don't know if I'll ever run into that when I'm gateway expanding.
Well, that was such a, if you guys are trying to learn StarCraft, that's probably not the best game to study because the circumstances were so completely weird.
Yeah.
That we have not even casted anything like that. Where one guy does this one thing, the other guy responds in like the most unique way possible. So I would like to see some more games with that so I can get a better grasp of the parameters and rules for both of those strats and how to handle them.
Well, it shows how smart JangBi is, right? Because he hasn't played against exactly that, but he knew every step what to do. I really enjoyed that game. That was like kind of eye-opening almost. And the thing is, I do have to go back to the fact that I really think it was Lucera thinking, if you haven't seen this, this is a good chance of working.
You have no way of having the right response.
Yeah, but
it's like one of these one-time builds, but when you first experience it, you should lose to it.
Yeah, that's exactly. The Swarm host, I think he was thinking it was going to be like an Immortal all-in, which would have made sense, right? Like just make Immortals and a bunch of units and go. That's very popular right now after that Dream hack that Stardust just took down. So I think he probably thought it was that. In which case, the Mutas may have been too slow to go for some tech like that. So I understand why he made the choices he made.
We actually saw KangHo get a little bit bumpy there at the end with the double Spire on the way. I think he was so caught off guard by everything that JangBi was doing that he really started to lose his momentum. But going into this next game, we're going to have Life against Fantasy.
Well, this is why this group is so hard to predict,
This group is so cool, man.
Like, I don't even know what to say about that.
I don't know if KangHo can get out now that he lost. I really don't.
It's a hard group, man.
You know?
Here's the thing. Life is one of the best players in the entire world. Top 3 Zerg or top 4 Zerg, for sure. At least top 4.
Yeah.
Fantasy, exactly. He's the Terran equivalent of JangBi. Like, literally, they played in the last OSL Finals and went to Game 5 in Brood War. Like, they are equivalent, whereas they aren't the top 4, but they're both in the top 6. So this is one of the greatest RTS players ever, 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 ever.
Yeah. True that, man. And, of course, Life, this guy, a GSL Kodes champion and a Royal Rotor, the only Royal Rotor we have.
Yeah.
A Royal Rotor. I'm going to start talking like Elmer Fudd when I say it, but Royal Rotor. Royal Rotor being somebody who gets into a Kodes for the first time and wins the whole thing. So, with these two guys, I have no idea who's going to win this. We once again have a StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty legend up against a StarCraft 1 Brood War legend.
Yeah. Look at this. I really like these stats. 99 for offense, 92 for micro, and 94 for popularity. I can't really argue with what I'm seeing.
No, I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, this is pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate.
It is.
Life is what you see here on the screen. He's one of the best attacking Zergs. He's very aggressive. He's all over the place. He's known for his Zerglings.
Yeah, well, he's kind of like the Jadong of StarCraft 2 when it comes to the Ling harass and everything like that.
He looks a lot like Jadong did in StarCraft 1.
He really knows how to do the optimal amount of damage with each of the little harasses he does. His strategies are really good too, but I really feel like it's more of a bunch of little attacks and assaults that kind of whittle down his opponent until eventually he can break them. This guy, on the other hand, Fantasy, easily one of the best strategic minds in RTS history.
Yes, he certainly is tasteless. He's called like the terrorist Terran in StarCraft 1 because all he does is harass. He is one of the best multitaskers we've ever had. His style is completely different from Flash's. Like Flash, best Terran ever in StarCraft 1. Fantasy, second best. But Fantasy and Flash play completely differently. Flash, completely a macro player. Of course, he's great at everything, and so is Fantasy. But Fantasy, this guy is all about killing you in small ways rather than just overwhelming.
Absolutely is, the complete polar opposites, like yin and yang there for Terran from StarCraft 1, Flash, and Fantasy.
Very much so.
So we have both players in the game. We should be starting this pretty soon here.
Here's my question to you. Who wins this, in your opinion?
I think Life does, actually.
Life?
But
it's
this
hard.
is like so hard to do.
I'm giving him an edge to Fantasy, though.
I don't know, because I already said I thought KangHo was going to win, and then JangBi slayed him, slapped him down. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm just leaning towards Life, though, right now. All right, it looks like it's time. The game is loading.
I like Fantasy over real life tasteless.
We are going into the map Belshir Vestige. We're going to see these two legends duke it out. It is a best of one here at GOMTV.net.